Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance today. We're going to go ahead and get started. And we thank any returning or newcomers for joining the Public Service Advisory. Well, this is an opportunity to meet with law enforcement, firefighters, and other employees of the public service to talk about safety and security concerns within not only the school system, but somewhat within our community. So we thank you for being here today. We have some critical information as we work together to display our commitment to high performance for the school district. You'll hear from the Superintendent of Schools, and you'll hear from a few of our district leaders. So without further delay, I will bring to the podium our Superintendent and CEO of Clayton County Public Schools, our Superintendent, Dr. Morcease J. Beasley.
Thank you, Jada. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to ask if the members who are not staff will raise your hand so I can see who you are, not staff. And we want you to introduce yourselves, and then, of course, we'll do some quick introductions of staff after you introduce yourself. But we're glad that you're here. We're appreciative of you signing up, being a part of this, and hopefully you'll get some good information, but also be able to share some critical insight and thoughts with us as well that will help inform the work that we're doing to really move our district forward in every area in which it's measured, whether it be academic, discipline, attendance, etc., employee morale, behavior. We want to move our district in the right direction. So let's do this first, if you will. Let's get our guests, our participants here, introduce themselves first.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Patrice Perry, and I'm the forensic science teacher at Morrow High School. Dr. Pierce is our principal.
Hi, my name is Tamika Williams. I am in the district. I'm willing here to participate and do what I can. I'm completing a dissertation specifically on crisis communication systems in the school leaders role. So I'm at the end of that. So I'm really interested to know, and participate, and I also live in the district. So.
Good morning, I'm Felicia Holloway, Field Services Director with the Georgia State Board of Pardons and Paroles. I'm just happy to be here and assist in any way I can. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Todd McCollum. I'm a parent of a child at Morrow High School, as well as on council, and I'm also a firefighter paramedic with the DeKalb County Fire Rescue.
Hello, I'm LaDonna Hampton. I am a library assistant in the Clayton County Library System. I'm a parent of a child in Clayton County School System. So I'm here just to gain knowledge and help in any way I can.
Introduce yourself.
Good morning, Dr. Beasley and others, those who are seated here. And I lay great store upon this move by our superintendent. I am Dr. Joshua Christopher. From India, I was a professor in higher education. Presently, I am a CASA, court-appointed special advocate for children. And my wife and some of the Indian folks knows Dr. Beasley very well. They have high regards for him. That's the reason I took off today. Then I just came. I wanted to be here at any cost. And so God will bless you, sir, for all your efforts.
Thank you. So, thank you all for being here again. This is Superintendent's Advisory for Public Safety. So today we'll kind of take a little twist and talk about what we're doing relative to culture and improving safety and climate in our school system. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to first start out with our Deputy Superintendent for School Leadership and Improvement, Dr. Simpson, if he will introduce himself and basically set the stage, if you will, for what schools are doing and what his expectation is relative to improving schools in our district relative to culture and climate. And all of us who are here are basically in support. We're here to support what schools are doing to improve those outcomes. We'll talk about the teaching and learning as well, but we know very much so that you don't really get too far with teaching and learning if the school's out of control and people don't feel safe. And so we'll start out with Dr. Simpson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks, Dr. Beasley. Dr. Beasley hit on something that was very, very important and critical. While it's expected that our role, and we understand quite clearly, is to, increase academic achievement. But I liken it to just a very, very simple example. I use oftentimes Maslow's and Bloom's. You have Bloom's taxonomy and you have Maslow's. And I question as to which one goes first. I've always asked one. I have my own personal beliefs and professional beliefs about which one goes first. But I'm a firm believer that you have to meet the children's needs before you begin to teach them anything. So that's almost similar to what we're talking about when we're discussing culture and climate. Is culture and climate more important than teaching and learning or curriculum and instruction? Yes, teaching and learning is the utmost of what we do. But if you don't have an environment that's conducive to teaching and learning, meaning that when children walk into a schoolhouse, the feel of what it looks like, even from a child, from a parent, from a teacher, if it didn't feel right, if it doesn't look like, meaning the hallways shine, the restrooms clean, grass, landscape outside, that's the feel. And Dr. Beasley said this best. Despite where a school is located in whatever community, let's just hypothetically say that it's not the best community. But the school shouldn't look like it. It shouldn't mirror the community if it's impoverished. Meaning that by the time a parent and a child walks into a school, that they have to internalize that this school is drastically different from what's going on in our community. That's on the positive side. So that's what we mean when we say culture, the culture of a school. One thing we realize as adults is this, is that we have to create and establish a culture. And children have to step into our culture. When I say our, I mean the adults. Because if we step into their culture, we're going to have a problem. They have to step into the culture that we create. And that culture that we create is based on our performance and everything that we do. So what that really looks like is this. How we go about the business of doing and conducting business. What does that mean? What does it look like? From the time a child gets off the bus, or whether they get out of their parents' vehicle in the morning, where do they go? We actually walked teachers and took them through, and the principals through a process by way of identifying a day in the life of a student at their school. From the time the child enters the building, that every adult, every child knows exactly where they are. It's a standard operating procedure for school procedures. That's exactly what it is. Where the children go, where the teachers are supposed to go. During class change, the teachers in the middle of the hallway are standing outside their doors. They're ushering students in the hallway as they're in transition. During lunch, what way goes to lunch, down what hallway. So everyone in the schoolhouse knows exactly what it is and where it is that they're supposed to be doing. That's from the beginning of the day until the very, very end of the day. So we always ask ourselves these two questions. Who are we and what do we stand for? Who are we? Who are we as a school? We ask ourselves that question, and then what do we stand for? And everyone has to know that. The parents have to know and understand what the expectations are. But we just can't assume that. So we go through a process of identifying that. So this summer, all of our leaders, our principals, and our assistant principals went through this process of creating a day in the life of a student at their school. They also talked about something that's called the it factor. Because we're big on brands. We want to brand our school district as a district of high performance. But we've also left it up to the principals to identify what it is that they stand for, their brand. And they created something called the it factor. Meaning, what is it that people say about your school when they leave? Once they've encountered your school, had an opportunity to experience the first day they walk into the front office. If you've ever been to our district office, you will encounter a young lady by the name of Rebecca Farmer, and I can almost guarantee you this. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, you will walk out of our district office knowing and believing that this is a special place. That was my first experience. Impressions are lasting. The very first employee that I encountered when I came to Clayton County was Rebecca Farmer. And in my mind, I'm saying, wow, this must be a great place. Well, let's assume that that was a negative encounter or experience. I would have been able to take that same experience and I would have shared that with any and everyone that I know. So it's important that the people on the front line, when you walk into a school, you have that experience, and it's a positive experience and exchange, we want to create that in every single thing that we do. When you pick up the phone and call us on the other end, we want it to be a positive experience because we know that impacts our culture. When you have an issue or a challenge with your child, whether you're speaking with the assistant principal or the principal, we want to be responsive. We want to make sure that we resolve those issues instantaneously after doing an investigation, after asking all the questions. But that's a part of our culture, and we know that because we know you're going to share that experience with a colleague, with a friend, or with a parent. We understand that. Our brand. And so we take on the responsibility of knowing how important that is, because if you don't have that right, if we don't get that piece right, then everything else is going to be difficult. Listen, there are a lot of resources that we use to increase academic achievement, to support our teachers, to support our students. All of them, I'm certain, will work. The best of them won't work if you don't have a foundation. If that foundation is not based on a culture and a conducive culture and climate in the building, nothing else works. You've got to have the foundation. And we recognize that. We recognize that our foundation has to be solid in order for us to get everything else to work as we expect it to. So, in a very, very simplistic way, that's what we mean when we say culture and climate. And a climate and a district that's committed to high performance, you've got to have that foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Simpson. So, I'd like to just share very quickly with you. We have a few of us who will present. They'll introduce themselves as they come. But as Dr. Simpson shared, and hopefully all of you heard by now, we're going to be a high-performing school district. It won't happen overnight, but there are very clear things that need to occur for that to be realized. As a school system, it should not be the case, and this is my expectation of every employee of every school. I don't care what chaos is going on in Metro Atlanta. When you walk into the school system, we are not chaotic. We are focused on children, period. Every school. It should not be the case when you walk into a school that they just look like they're getting themselves organized. We know the first day of school is coming around every year, isn't it? We know we have 180 days of instruction, don't we? We know we have 10 additional days for teachers. It is our expectation that the schools are organized and that they plan for those 180 days of instruction and that they plan for the 10 days of staff development or work that teachers must do beyond the classroom. It's our expectation that schools have resources. You know you've got 600 kids showing up on day one of school. You make sure you figure out how many kindergartners, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade you have, and make sure all of those kids have resources. It shouldn't be the case that for some reason, oh, I forgot to do it. No, there's some things you may forget, but we're not going to forget to serve children because that's the business that we're in on. And so it's our expectation that we hire well, we hire up, we retain the great teachers, and that if we hire mediocrity, either we coach them up, or to be very honest with you, we're going to exit them from the organization. It's just that simple. Why? Because our children deserve the best. And so you'll see this team, we're not very political. You'll see, while I understand politics as a superintendent, I am not political. Because I'm very clear on what it takes to improve student achievement. And that's adults who are grounded in moral competence to improve teaching and learning outcomes, period. Do we have to know how to navigate politics? Of course we do. But at the end of the day, our question will always be this. What is best for who? Our children, period. As long as we land there, we know everything else will work itself out. So our vision is to be a high-performing school district, so our students can live and compete successfully. We're monitoring this, and you'll hear when Dr. Wiley talks about the strategic plan, we're monitoring the indicators. We know that our kids have to compete, not only here in the metro and the state of Georgia, the United States, but globally. And we want everyone in our school system, and we want our families to take on a global mindset. It is just not enough for you to do well in Clayton County. Clayton County is a part of the global community, probably more than other counties, because when people come into the United States, in the state of Georgia, in the metro Atlanta area, where do they come too. They fly right into where? Clayton County. Our mission is to empower students to achieve academic and personal goals. That's our daily work. We want students to know exactly what they need to do, where they want to go, and we want to show them how to determine those goals and achieve those goals. And we're going to support them in the process of doing that. We have some core beliefs, and I won't read these to you, but if you read every single one of them, they're all focused on our children. These beliefs guide our every decision, whether it be what instructional resources we purchase, which teachers we hire, what administrators we place in particular schools, what programs we implement, how we provide feedback, all to ensure that our students get exactly what they need. Exactly what they need. As Dr. Simpson shared, we're clear. Children are not going to create the culture in this district. We, the adults, create the culture, and we expect the children, everyone, to enter into our culture. See, we can't allow 55,000 children to create the culture because they come from 55,000 households. And as you well know, every one of those 55,000 households could be doing it in a different way. So what we have decided is that we as the adults, we're the educators. We're going to create the culture, and when children enter into a school bus, when they land on the campus, they enter into who? They enter into our culture. They enter into our culture. And so our work is to ensure that we have the best culture focused on teaching and learning, high expectations, improving outcomes, professionalism, respect, and dignity, so our children can have the best experience within our culture. And hopefully, as they participate in our culture, that culture will begin to be extended even well beyond the schoolhouse. Because we know that we're modeling behaviors that many times they will imitate. We have 5 strategic goals, and very quickly, they're focused on 1, academic achievement. We understand that we've got to improve outcomes in the school system. There is no sense in us deluding ourselves thinking that we'll be a high-performing school system if we do not improve outcomes. We've got to get kids reading and doing mathematics on or above what? Grade level, period. And that takes more than just the school system. I refuse as a superintendent to carry this burden alone. This is a community effort. Everybody's got to do their part to educate children. Yes, we have a responsibility 180 days out of the year, don't we? But I believe there are more than 180 days in the school year, aren't there? Or in a year. There are 365 days, 366 in elite days. The question is, what are others doing even on those days? It takes all of us. The school system clearly is important. Number 2, provide and maintain a safe and orderly environment. We just expect students to behave. And I know sometimes they come and families have coddled certain behaviors, and they think that we're going to coddle those behaviors, but we will not. You know why? Because that is not going to help the child. Those of us who are in these schools, we're professionals, we've been around the mountain. We know exactly what behaviors will help you, advance you, and we know what behaviors will harm you. And so what we need is parents and communities and principals and teachers to get on the same page about our expectations relative to our children. Safe and orderly environments. We want to create environments of engagement, communication, accountability, and collaboration. And that's what we're doing here. So we're going to provide you an opportunity to share as well. We want to deliver our support services in a timely manner, quality services, and within budget. And lastly, we want to recruit, develop, and retain highly qualified and effective staff. And I'll say this to all of us. I've said it before. We can hire great teachers. But if this community doesn't create a culture of excellence, you will not retain great teachers. They will find communities that do believe in education. And it's just not the superintendent's responsibility. It's not just the staff. It's the entire community's responsibility to retain teachers. How we respect our employees and teachers all feeds into whether or not they want to remain in our community as educators. And so I really reject this us versus them mentality, because if we don't respect our educators, we'll find ourselves dealing with subs all day long, and others don't have to deal with subs all day long. Why? Because teachers will gravitate to places where they do what? Respect to educators. And so that's why it's so important. I tell parents, even if you don't agree with the teacher, there's a way to disagree. We can't create a culture where you feel like you're just going and cuss the teacher out. We're not going to have that. We're not going to let parents cuss out, teachers cuss out parents, and we're not going to let parents cuss out what? Teachers. It's just not going to happen. Why? Because at the end of the day, first of all, that's not healthy behavior for children to see. Secondly, that's not going to help us produce the outcomes that we need to produce. I expect parents, teachers, and principals to all get around the table, get on the same page, and focus on who? Children. See, we're talking about safety, aren't we? But people don't realize how it's the adult actions that determine and create a culture of what? Safety. So we define high performance for our community, and I won't read it to you, but basically we expect whatever the data tells us today, when we measure it the next time, we expect it to improve if it's supposed to improve. If it's discipline, we expect discipline to decrease. If it's attendance, we expect attendance to increase. If it's reading scores, we expect more kids to be proficient. Math scores, similar. We just expect the data to improve. And so we're holding ourselves accountable as a staff to ensure that we're working together collaboratively, working with our community to ensure that all of the indicators are going in the right direction. And when they're not going in the right direction, we're going to come around the table and we're going to ask some very tough questions. What is causing this indicator to go in the wrong direction? What are the actions that we're taking or not taking that's contributing to this situation not improving? We really believe in a model of continuous improvement. So we'll start out with Dr. Wiley's going to share the strategic plan. She'll share her role, and then we'll pass it to some others. We don't have everyone presenting today, but we do have some areas that we'd like to focus in on so we can get to your queue and your questions and provide as many answers as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Monica Wiley. I'm the Director of Finance and School Choice, but I also oversee the strategic planning process for our district. What you should have in your possession is a copy of our strategic improvement plan, an edited version of our strategic improvement plan. It's a much more robust document online. But what I want to call your attention to, and Dr. Beasley already spoke about our goals. So what I want you to look at are our performance objectives that really relate to your role in our district. If you look at the third column, and look at the third column, the first performance objective, which is bold in that third column, it reads, Clayton County Public Schools will increase the number of students absent less than 10% of their enrolled academic year. Absences can be anything for us for students may be ill, parents may have to go out of town on a family emergency, but it also, what I want to say is discipline also affects our absences, okay? So it's very important that we monitor what type of discipline we have in our district, what are we doing, what type of alternative programs we're sending students to in lieu of suspending them from school. So we are monitoring that data. The school sites are monitoring that data as well. And we look at that data once in 9 weeks, I believe is what we decided to review once in 9 weeks via our action plan. The other performance objective that I want to call your attention to is that Clayton County Public Schools will decrease the number of discipline infractions while increasing employee morale and community support. That goes along with what Dr. Beasley spoke about on how our parents treat our teachers and our staff and how our teachers and our staff treat our parents. We have to keep the morale of our staff high so that they can focus on the academics inside the classroom. And we will monitor different discipline strategies that the schools are implementing quarterly as well. If you want to know exactly the action steps that we are monitoring, those are on our website. We have a designated page for the strategic improvement plan, and we will, once we organize our action plan with the data in there, we will post that information quarterly as well. Thank you.
As Christy is coming, this slide here, because I wanted you all to see, even before we start talking about teaching and learning, what behaviors we're looking at in our school system. And so I know it's pretty small, but I want you to see for the last 3 years, we monitor the top 10 discipline behaviors, the ones that our students are exhibiting the most. And so I want you to see to the left, you have attendance, then you have disrespect of school personnel, disrespect, failure to follow instructions of school personnel, disrespect, failure to follow school procedures, disrespect, profanity to school personnel, disruptive behavior, bus misconduct, disruptive behavior, class disruption, disruptive behavior, school disturbance, physical offense, battery of student, of other persons, physical offense, fighting, mutual participation. And so we monitor the number of infractions here. And so you can see the number of infractions from 2015 to 16, 2015-16 to 2016-17 to 2017-18. The red percent means that the infractions, the percent of infractions increased. The green, which is the direction we want the infractions to go in, means that the percent of infractions or the number decreased, and it tells you the percent by which we decrease. And so I want you to see last year, we decreased in all of the top 10 behavior referrals. That is a good thing. We know it's a good thing because while infractions are being reduced, our teacher morale has been increasing. Normally, if you're not doing it the right way, you may see the infractions decrease, but then teachers' morale also does what? Decrease. So we are seeing a decrease in referrals, but an increase in morale, which means that we believe that our strategy is working. And as Dr. Simpson shared, we're working on improving cultures in our schools, the way we interact with our students. We're using several strategies, positive behavioral intervention, where we want to address the behaviors, but we want to address those behaviors in a way that adds value to the lives of our children, that allows them to learn a few things so they can be more reflective and respond, because things are going to happen. Life happens. When you have 2 or more people in a room, eventually you're going to have a conflict. We want our children to understand that that's a part of life, but there's a way to handle conflict without getting physical and violent, etc., etc., etc. And so we want you to see we are improving, but we still have some work to do. Now, what are we doing? We know which schools contribute to these top discipline referrals. And so our actions are not random or arbitrary. We are working directly with the schools that we have identified have some concerns or some issues in some of these areas to figure out exactly what are your school processes. Why do students at one school feel like it's okay to fight, but then you have some schools where we barely have a fight? They're the same type of students. So to me, that goes back to leadership and accountability and your plan and your expectations, and all those expectations communicated consistently to students, and then engaging parents, etc. And so we as the adults, we take a lot of responsibility as to what's occurring in our schools, because we know that our actions or lack of actions contribute to these outcomes. But I just wanted you to see, and so we added this slide this year to show you that we are improving. Are we where we would like to be today? No. We're going to continue to improve, but we need everybody's help. We need everybody's help. We need help with families. Help with families. You know, oftentimes the school gets the rap for bullying. But I'm going to be very clear, because I'm going to keep an honest person. Children don't learn bullying behaviors at school. They learn bullying behaviors from adults in their lives who have observed what? Bullying. Now, school provides them an opportunity to exercise those behaviors, but they don't learn them at school. Most of the children that I have dealt with who were bullies, I can tell you, when I met some of the families, I can see why. Fussing and cussing and and calling your children out of their names, that is unhealthy. Then we wonder why they bully. Those are the things that we have got to get a handle on in our homes. So when they come to school, they're focused on what? Teaching and learning. See, every home has a culture, doesn't it? Oh, yes. There's no reason, even when we look at our data, there's no reason that the performance of Asian students is consistently higher than African American students. It's not that Asians focus harder than African American students, but there are certain aspects of one's culture that contribute to a focus on what? Education. You may not like to hear, but it is the truth. And those are the things we've got to continue to address. So at this time, please.
I just want to call your attention to something real quick. You will look at the disrespect, the numbers are disrespect failure to follow instructions, disrespect failure to follow school procedures, which is essentially rude and disrespectful behavior and refusal to follow instructions. Those are the two most widely violated rules, not only in Clayton, not only in Georgia, but all throughout the country. Let me explain to you why. Those are the two most subjective offenses. The two most subjective offenses. What I mean is that if I were to give an index card to everyone in here and ask them to define what's rude and disrespectful behavior based upon your own personal beliefs, values, morals, I guarantee you will come up with multiple different definitions. So think about that in the aspect of a child in the classroom. During the first period, he displays a certain behavior or says something, and the teacher just dismisses it, ignores it, or it doesn't mean that much to him or him. But does the exact same thing or says the exact same thing in second period, and then he or she is referred to the discipline office. See, the level of subjectivity has come into play. The unfortunate piece is that we are issuing consequences based on subjectivity. So what we're doing, and certainly with the help of Dr. Nunez, with positive behavior intervention support, and a number of other things that Dr. Beasley mentioned, restorative practice and all, we're asking schools to identify and define what is rude and disrespectful behavior at your school. Meaning we'll come up with it, we'll agree with 4 definitions. We might have 40 in here, but we're going to vote and we're going to narrow it down to 4. So we're not all over the place. So we've narrowed it. So then when you look at where we've gone from 15, 16, to what those numbers look like now in 17, 18, it's because of the conversation and us identifying and defining what is rude and disrespectful behavior in our school, so that we narrow the concept and narrow the process down to 1, 2, 3, or 4 different definitions. And I know some might have felt that, hey, this is personal to me. We vote, we agree, we all have the same vote, and this is what it looks like in our school. So we're narrowing the level of subjectivity. Now the other offenses are pretty objective. I mean, a fight is a fight. We understand that. And these numbers right here, they may represent just incidents alone. It could be 4 students involved in a fight. That's one fight though. But sometimes our system, well, most times our system will record it as 4 students, and it'll say 4 fights. In our actuality, it's just one fight and what? 4 incidents. So we have to make sure that we disaggregate the data to make sure that it didn't hurt us instead of helping us. But I'm almost certain that that is not 2,216 fights. That's 2,216 incidents. I just want to point it out.
Dr. Simpson, I think it's important to share that you alluded to the objectivity as we are becoming more objective when we define what rude and disrespectful behavior is. The complexity of our work is this. Oftentimes, our children grow up in environments where certain behaviors are acceptable. Then they come into our classrooms and the teachers have a different definition of what's what, acceptable. And then you have a clash. And that's why sometimes we deal with this term called disproportionality, where it looks like brown and black boys are suspended at higher rates than other kids. Those are the things that we've got to deal with. We've got to help people understand that sometimes their response is not personal. It's just that they may have grown up in an environment where that was the typical what? Response. But we need us as the educators and the professionals to get more informed and trained as to how do we really interpret and respond, and then redirect and retrain and to help our students grow and learn different responses. So when you look at this data, as Dr. Simpson shared, it's not as cut and dry as it looks, not as easy to deal with as it looks, because we're dealing with people here. And everybody brings into that classroom or to that school their experiences. And we've got to somehow get all those experiences, at least take into consideration those experiences, and then come up with policies and responses that acknowledge the difference of experiences, the training that we need to do, the latitude sometimes that we need to provide, but we don't want to provide too much latitude because we don't want to create an environment where the teachers feel like we're not addressing or we're just encouraging and allowing kids to be what? Disrespectful either. It's just not as easy. And so, but all of this weighs into our actions relative to improving public safety. So at this time, Chrissy's going to come, and then you want to answer the question?
I have a question, Dr. J. Is it possible to break that data down, take the repeating offenders who perhaps those students who constantly say they have additional support for those students?
We do. Exactly. This is just summary that I'm using for this purpose. But that's exactly what we do. This data has been broken down, and every principal is looking at their data to identify the repeat offenders or those students who need additional support, and then we allocate staff and student services. We allocate staff to focus in on various schools based upon the data, the outcomes. And so that's why, again, that's part of our strategy. That's why we're seeing a reduction. And so we expect to continue to see a what? Reduction as we refine our strategy and as we go a little deeper, we get a little bit more astute, and we figure out, okay, who are these kids? Are we getting them the support that they really need to have?
Good morning. My name is Chrissy Heath. I'm the Gifted Advanced Learning Intervention Coordinator for Clayton County Public Schools. And part of what we're going to talk about is our new goal. We are part of our strategic plan, and it goes along with what we've been talking about with discipline. By 2023, it is our intent that our goal is that all students, 80% of our students will be proficient or distinguished on the Georgia Milestones Assessment in all content areas. If we see that, discipline will go down even more. We will see less and less infractions because children will be engaged in their schools, and they'll be engaged and being prepared for the readiness of what they need going outside of our schools into post-secondary type schooling. At this time, our current reality is this. Our current reality is that 25% of our students are demonstrating proficiency on the Georgia milestones. So, as Dr. Beasley was saying, this is a collective effort on all of our parts so that we can move these students, because it's very possible to do that. But we have to work together to do that. So what we wanted to do was, we want to show you what our data looks like. So right here we have our EOG, that sounds like a weird food or beverage, but that's your end of grade data. And so for your end of grade data, you can see grades 3 through 8, and you can see that we have given you the data for 2014, 2015, 2016, and our current data right now. I also want to point out on the chart, you'll notice that in this column right here, this is Clayton County Public Schools. This right here is Metro RESA. Metro RESA is all of the metropolitan counties. So that's Gwinnett, that's Cobb, that's Fulton, that's Marietta City Schools. You also see Georgia. So you see a comparison. And as we can see here, we're seeing more gains or we're stabilizing. In those areas where we're seeing decline, we're working on that content and what we need to do to help facilitate that academic growth in our classrooms. Our next slide actually shows you more EOG data, end of grade. And you can see here, this is our science and social studies. Georgia only tests science and social studies on specific grades. They don't do it in all grades anymore. So they do 5th and 8th grade. As you can see, we saw increases with our social studies, and we're seeing some increases with, but we only had a slight drop in our science for 5th grade. Our next slide, EOC is end of course. So end of grade was for your element or your K through 8, and your end of course is the students who are in high school. So what we can see here are the areas that are tested. Again, we show you multiple school years and the comparison with Reset and Georgia. And as you can see, overall we're having more consistency gains or staying on track than declines. This is our advanced placement data. We're very excited. This year we saw a 3% increase in our advanced placement. Now, you know, advanced placement courses are those courses that our students are showing their college readiness. So they're ready for a secondary institution to get a degree. And what we see is, again, we show 15, 16, 17, and 18. We saw an increase. You can also see, this is a comparison to Georgia and global. Advanced placement content, our content is nationwide, is consistent across the nation. And I do want to say, we were very excited. Several of our schools saw multi-gains in having achievement scores of 3 or higher. So they score a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. A 3 indicates that they're ready for a college class, and they can sometimes get college credit for it before even going into the institution. Our graduation rate, that's actually very exciting. We're showing steady increases. Our graduation rates are not out right now. That's coming out, but we expect to see those increase, just that steady pushing toward high performance and seeing that.
So I won't read this to you, but our strategies are very simple, but they're yet complex because we've got a lot of variables that we're dealing with. But overall, as Christy shared, we're moving the data in the right direction. Even when we saw a little decrease, it was only 1 percentage point. We wouldn't consider that very significant. And sometimes they will go up and down. But if you notice the gap between our school system, the Metro RESA, and the state, we've got to close that gap. And there's no reason that we can't close that gap. And that's our work as a community. If you will go to the next slide, I want to talk about the grad rate. We're expecting to see an improvement in our grad rate this year. And so we have the numbers, but we don't want to release what we have until the state actually releases what it has, which we anticipate sometime in October, maybe late September, early October. But I want you to know that we're trying to make sure that our 9th graders are successful. We know that if they drop out of high school, oftentimes they drop out in the 9th grade. If we can get them through the 9th grade, more than likely we can graduate them from high school and on time. We're doing credit recovery. That means if a student has failed a course, we're trying to ensure that the student has every opportunity to go back and recover that credit because they need the credit in order to graduate. We're, of course, encouraging and expecting our students to take full advantage of advanced placement and dual enrollment. These are opportunities that we don't want them to be exceptional opportunities. We really want this to be the norm. If kids say they're going to college, whether it's a 4-year, 2-year vocational school, technical school, we need them as soon as possible to get immersed in a college level course. And there are many opportunities to do that. Career pathways. We know in our county that if a student is in a career pathway, they graduate at a rate of 93%. Our current grad rate is 69.6%. So if we can get more kids in career pathways, we believe we will see a significant increase in our grad rate. Of course, 9th grade transition events, ensuring that our 9th graders and those going into the 9th grade have opportunities to transition so they can do that rather smoothly. And then, of course, using our Perry Career Academy for non-traditional situations. And just so you'll know, Perry Academy is now considered one of our high schools. It will not have a high graduation rate. It will be low. Why? Because these are students, for whatever reason, life has happened to them, and many of them have wanted to drop out of school, but this is our way of encouraging them to what? Stay in school. And so they won't necessarily graduate on time, but as long as they're in school working toward their high school diploma, we believe that they'll be better off. And so we expect Perry Career Academy is ranked to be the lowest out of all the schools because that's a unique situation. These are students who, again, would have dropped out, but we're providing an option within the remaining school because we know how important it is for them to have a high school diploma. So options beyond high school are hopefully won't be denied them, which often is the case if you don't have a high school diploma. So at this time, we really heard from teaching and learning. Chrissy, I don't know if you want to add anything to what you probably not. Yeah, I think we're good. Jada, who's next? Chief, let's talk about safety and security. And then after Chief, we'll do
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'm Thomas Trey, the Chief of Safety and Security. And I'm going to be brief this morning and kind of yield to the question and answer session. But I want to start by stating safety is everyone's responsibility. You know, sometimes we don't want to get involved or we don't want to say something because we feel that we might be overstepping our boundaries. Well, I disagree with that because the country's a very dangerous place right now. You know, you can't go to a movie theater, you can't go to the mall, you can't go to a concert without the threat of being exposed to some type of violence. So it's absolutely imperative for all of us, to work together to create a climate and culture of safe schools. We absolutely have to. And we have to bring about and deploy initiatives to keep the schools safe. So what I want to do is just go over a few initiatives that we're doing as safety and security with police officers and security officers to keep the schools safe. One is we're doing unannounced safe school searches. Absolutely important to do random searches to keep people off balance. They never know when we're going to do a 100% check. And when I say 100% check, we check every student, their person, and their property to ensure we don't have weapons on campus. And we go a step further too, because we know that if a person has an intent to bring a weapon, they might hide the weapon and go back to retrieve it. So not only do we search their person, we search the perimeter, and we also get with Mr. Walker's people, the bus drivers. And we tell them to do a safety sweep of that bus as well. Because when they see all of those police officers, what are they going to do? They're going to try to discard a weapon or whatever, and they're going to leave it on the bus. So we do those safe school searches. We're also doing gang awareness seminars because what we want to do, we want to give our children options. We want to teach them about success and teach them, like Dr. Beasley says, this is a high-performing district. So we want our students to be high-performing. And one way is to deter them from gangs and put them in some positive areas so that they can be productive. Now, at the end of last year, everyone was speaking about active shooters. We had the Parkland shooting, we had a situation in Dalton, and we had other situations throughout the country. And a part of the problem and what we learned with the situation in Parkland is that there were indicators. There were signs that that student had the propensity to do what he did. And people saw it, but they didn't see anything. And we have to stop that. And I'm pleased to announce that the district has an app. We have a mobile app. If you see something, say something. I know you guys hear it all the time. See something, say something. But it works. And with this app, you can make anonymous tips. You can leave your name. You can provide photographs, so on and so forth, to get us the information so that we can prevent those type of situations, or at least attempt to prevent it, intervene, and get the child help. Because normally, it's issues in that child's life that causes those situations. So we want to get with Dr. Nunez, get those wraparound services, and get it to the individual. Last but not least, the training as it relates to active shooters. Another thing that we learned was that the students in Parkland didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond. The teachers didn't have assignments, etc. So we're changing our process. You know, police officers, we're trained, we know what to do. We can go in and we can capture, shoot, and do all of that. But what we have to do, we have to train the students, staff, and administration so that they know what to do, so that we can have full accountability and have decent outcomes. So that's what we're doing. We're working with Dr. Simpson, and we're making sure that we're training the students. We're going to do drills so that they know what to do and know how to respond. So I'm going to close at this time, and then if you have questions at the end, please, by all means, ask, and I'll come up and answer. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ronnie Joseph. I'm the Director of Construction. I'm responsible for capital improvements as well as the management of SPLOST dollars. As most of you guys are aware, SPLOST is special purpose local option sales tax. Basically, whenever a dollar spent in Clayton County, a penny is utilized to fund capital improvements. For a 5-year increment, it generates roughly $280 million, which funds projects for new construction, renovations, AC improvements. So over the years, you've seen the new East Clayton Elementary come up, new elite scholars, gymnasiums at the high schools, HVAC improvements. These are projects that were funded through SPLOST 5. SPLOST 5 comes to an end December of 19. We still have some projects that are underway. So this year you'll see renovations and modifications to Jonesboro High School, Riverdale High School, 2 middle schools and 4 elementary schools to wrap up SPLOST 5. Which brings us to SPLOST 6. We have several projects in mind for SPLOST 6. We have 3 new facilities, a new STEM elementary school, a new STEM middle school, and a new STEM high school, as well as a college and career academy. SPLOST 6, we also will use funds to replace our aging bus fleet, as well as a program to provide a computer for one-on-one initiative for every student in order to extend the learning experience beyond the classroom. All in all, SPLOST 6 will generate again $280 million, and we are going to a special vote on March 19, 2019. Be glad to answer any questions at the end of this presentation. Thank you. And Dr. Beasley.
Thank you, Ronnie. I'll just say relative to SPLOST 6, again, the vote is scheduled for March 19th of 2019. And as a community, you should know, while none of the staff, we can tell you all how to vote. We can be, the law doesn't allow us to tell you how to vote. But we can tell you very clearly that if the referendum fails, the things that we have identified will not occur. And so this community has to decide for itself if those things are important enough to occur, how it votes. But you all should know that the referendum, again, is March 19th of 2019. And so I would encourage you to share the word, place it on your calendar, and if nothing else, we can ask you or encourage you to participate in the vote that will occur on March 19th of 2019. So at this time, we've just gone through some of the information in the presentation. The presentation is out there for you. If you go to the main website, look at Critical Conversations, there's a link on the left. Hit that link, it will take you to the presentation. Feel free in your spare time to go through the other portions of the presentation. So at this time, we'd like to give you a chance to share any ideas, concerns that you may have with staff, and give us, or questions, and give us a chance to respond to what you have, your questions.
My concern is the class size. I just keep getting beat across the head about 40 and 50 students in one class. I just want to see what is the plan of action that we're going to, how we want to tackle the classroom size for one teacher to like 40 to 50 students in one class.
Well, everyone who was a part of the budget process last year, we developed this year's budget, we had to close a gap in our budget, and in order to close that gap, we increased class sizes, which means we reduced the number of teachers we needed by about 248 teachers. Clearly, before we decided to increase class size, we looked at our massive schedules and we saw that there were some opportunities wherein the limit is 40, but we didn't have many classes who were at 40. And so we're monitoring that right now. I just want to pull up, for example, I had the team send me a report just so I could see how we're looking with the class size. We understand, we'd like the classes to be as low as, the number of students enrolled in the class to be as low as possible. But we ask that everyone be patient with us because in order to decrease the class size, that means I have to increase the number of teachers. And currently we have about 100 vacancies. And so that means we would have to have more teachers, which means I would have more vacancies and have more what? Substitute what? Teachers. And so, see, all of this, it's more complex sometimes than what others would like to understand. But I'll just give you an example of class sizes that we're monitoring class sizes at every school. And so I'll just pick a few schools, and we're, again, our Deputy Superintendent for School Leadership, we're looking at all these schools. But right now, as I look at various schools, we're looking at every grade level to see if there are schools that have 40 kids in it or even anything close to 40. Our principals are working with their assistant superintendents if necessary, if we have to provide an additional staff or teacher allocation for that grade level so we can reduce the class sizes. What I like people to do is if you tell me that there's a concern, be very specific so we can go and target and observe that situation. Because what I've learned is some people say, oh, they got 40 kids, but when I pull up the data, they don't have 40 kids. It's just sometimes people think because we say class size is 40 that every class has 40 kids in it, and that's just not the case. It's not the case. And so we're monitoring that. We're providing support to our principals and to our teachers, but I can really show you, if you want to hang around afterwards, as I look at the data that we pull from all the schedules and all the enrollment data we pull, we don't have many classes that are at 40 and 38 and 39. But we knew that would be the case because when we made the decision to increase class size, we looked at the data, and we had a lot of classes that were well below the limit. Okay, but we are monitoring.
I have a question. I'm going to just go off of what she asked when she asked about the support for those troubled kids. What is the support? I know you're supporting them, but what is the support looking like for those families? Because as you said, it takes a village. It takes everyone participating, as you said, with culture. And in doing that, how is your initiative going to, what you're doing with safety and security, impact that with that support? Because through research, I see that, as you say, the parents and all of those, that support is so important. So how are you targeting to help that support that's cultivating that and gearing that child?
Dr. Nunez is our Deputy Superintendent for Student Support Services. So we'll let her discuss our approach for supporting the students, which could mean providing support for the family as well.
Good morning, everyone. Support. Our families need support, our students need support. What we identified last year and what we worked on was realizing that the support that every school has the personnel to support the students and their families. And we realized that they were not working together. Even though we have our experts out there, they needed to work together in order to build the capacity of the principals and the assistant principals at the schools. So we created what we call our circle of support. And what that means is that personnel such as counselors, social workers, nurses, behavior intervention specialists, special education specialists, and other support personnel work together consistently to support families and students. We are removing those silos, and they are communicating support on coherence, which is they need to know what their purpose is, they need to know the nature of their work, and they need to use their other colleagues to build their capacity. So they work collaboratively, their communication has increased and improved, and when you go to those schools, the principals are working with a group of individuals, not just individuals working in different directions. So that is the way we are also working on those programs that address the mental and physical health of our students. And as we work with the mental and physical health of our students, we're working with our families. You're going to see a difference.
So, and I'll just add that through the circle of support, if a kid is referred to, let's say, an outside agency for counseling, that often involves the family as well, because we know that the child is within a context. And so schools clearly do what we can do with the students, but then we're partnering with our external service providers to expand the services, which could include support to the entire family. Okay? And that's work that's been going on in the county for some time. I believe that contributes to the improvement that we're seeing in our discipline outcomes, but clearly there's more work to do,
And on the safety and security side, we understand that there at one point in time was that school to prison pipeline. So we're very aware of that. So we're working very closely with the courts, juvenile courts specifically. And what we're doing is we'll identify a child who has a crisis, understanding, like Dr. Beasley and Dr. Simpson mentioned earlier, that there are contributing factors to why that child might be acting out. So instead of trying to use the heavy hand of the law to adjudicate the child, we're using those external resources that Dr. Beasley mentioned to not just help the child, but to help the family. And we're seeing some really positive outcomes. Additionally, we've also created a relationship with Magistrate Court where we have a mentoring program. We also encourage our SROs and CSOs to do more conflict resolution, have peer mediation groups so that students can speak to other students to resolve issues like Dr. Beasley mentioned, not to fight and curse out, etc., but to agree to disagree and understand how you go about the process to resolve issues. So working collaboratively is all working, and it's working like a wheel. And so far, we're seeing some positive results.
So much. Presentations gave us cutting edge on so many aspects. That draws my attention about the behavioral aspects Dr. Beasley was addressing. And there is a presentation. And the school dropout, I made a research. I was a college professor. I made a research on school dropout. The school dropouts are highly prone for gangs. The school dropouts, every possibility to become criminals, to indulge in crimes. That's what happened in my country. It might be common anywhere, elsewhere. And the teacher has to go extra mile to address the school dropout. So we were running a school back in India where we identified a teacher. She went extra mile on Sundays. Sunday schools are holidays. They don't work on Sundays. She went extra mile to the student's house. She sat with the parents and with the student. And she brought the transformation to the child, and the child was brought back to the school system. We recommended the teacher for the state award because she did a great job. And my concern is, if the child misbehaves, rather than it's only my idea, it might be a utopian thought, or you may not agree with my idea, but I want to present it because you are taking a lot of steps to bring a lot of changes in the school system. Instead of instruction, giving oral instruction, if you have a cartoon picture, if you make a protection, the child will learn. Hey, don't misbehave with teacher. Don't misbehave with your fellow students. Instead of saying orally, if you make a protection as a cartoon, and the child will understand, perhaps we can work on different strategies on that, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so as we close, your feedback is helpful too. We're looking at the data. The data is suggesting that we are improving. I think with the additional training that we're doing, we're training the teachers, as mentioned earlier, in social-emotional learning. We're training all of our new teachers. We're even going back training the current teachers, the teachers who have been in the district for some time. We're training them in restorative justice. We're working with our principals on improving the culture and climate at every school. We're taking away the subjectivity. When we look at referrals, we're taking away the subjectivity and helping people to be more objective in training and identifying what certain behaviors actually look like. We're working with all of our families, the entire community at large. And so I believe we're doing the right work. We're working to expand our mental wellness model so we can address the mental health issues, wellness issues that may be impacting students' academic outcomes. All of these things are converging to help us improve our outcomes. And so if you have data that you're looking at that we may not necessarily be privy to, let us know, because we want to know if we're actually improving. And we're working diligently and collaboratively to do just that, to improve these outcomes for all of our students, It requires all of us, again, working together at the table, being honest, having some very robust, honest conversations, and then directing the resources to the schools, to the classrooms, and to the students that need those resources the most. Will it happen in 1 year? Probably not. But every year we should be seeing progress, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We want to continue to see our progress accelerate. We want to see it go off the chart, if you will. We'd love to see a day where we just have very few behavioral incidents, but we know that that takes a village effort. And so we're pleased that you're part of the village. You're here. Thank you for sharing your time. If you have feedback for us, feel free, whether you come to this meeting or you send an email to us. We appreciate the feedback. Just so you know, as I close, we're having a conversation about uniforms. Now, just so you'll know, our high school students are telling me they don't want to deal with uniforms anymore. But we're trying to get people to see that it's not necessarily a uniform, it's to address expectations. And so you can wear a uniform and still cut up and fight. But we're having that conversation. I don't know, I'm not necessarily convinced that wearing tan shirts and tan pants and white shirts is a solution. But I do know that we expect students to dress well and to dress as students. And so we'll be having that conversation, more to come. Our young people, they're very clear. They don't say they don't want to dress appropriately. They just don't necessarily want to be confined to a particular color, a uniform. And so we value their input and we value them as young people, and so we're at least having that conversation. You should expect to see some type of survey that will go out to our parents just to get feedback sometime toward the end of September, early October. Okay. That's a part of that public safety conversation. Okay. Anything else? Well, thanks everybody. I think we got through in less than an hour and 15 minutes, so that's not too bad. We'll see you the next time.